So we're going to take a look at these Shad Panniers and the mounting kit. I have had to remove the Ducati subframe from the bike and fit the Shad Panniers. The Ducati Panniers are simply not fit for purpose. I've had two sets and I've just had them replaced a third time for the stitching coming undone, and it's just totally unacceptable to be in that position every 3 or 4 months. So we're going to have a quick look at the Shad system. You get all of these nuts, bolts, spacers if required, and it's so easy to fit. Bolt into here. This is a little tricky. This bolt needs to be undone, and this whole plastic area needs to be lifted up so you can tuck this underneath and then put the bolt back in. You'll find it's a lot easier if you undo all of the screws that are holding this plastic in place and then just carefully lift it up here and slide that under. It can be a little bit fiddly getting these screws to line up, and I would say make sure when you assemble this, you put all of the screws in and just gently do them up so you can get all the threads to go in before you tighten things up. You'll also notice that Shad have correctly designed this, and you can operate the foot pegs when the panniers are actually in place. Excellent. Ducati couldn't manage that, and it's a joke, frankly. For a 1200 quid touring pack, you have to take the panniers off to put the footrest down. You've got to be kidding. Just utter madness. So you'll notice two spacers here. Something else Ducati cocked up was when the panniers and subframe are fitted. If you use the original pillion seat cover like I preferred to use, it is rubbed all down the side and will be ruined within the first 10 miles of using the bike. Shad have come up with a solution here. You can fit the optional, well, they're included, but you can fit these two spacers that pushes the frame out slightly and means that no part of the frame or the pannier touches the pillion seat cover, which is excellent. You can see here there's bags of clearance. What you can find is, because there's a slight amount of movement available on these brackets, you may need to, when you're fitting the brackets, just keep the bolts loose and push the bracket as far back in the on the frame as possible. So all screws loose. You can give it a tap with a rubber or wooden mallet or something just to get that pushed as far back as possible. Then nip up all of the bolts, etc., and you will find that you have good clearance there, no issues at all to use the pillion footrest. Removing the Ducati touring pack was pretty straightforward. You've obviously got to take this off. There's wiring from the original LEDs that need to be fed through little rubber grommets that can be a bit fiddly, but I much prefer the rear end, the stock rear end. Something they didn't give back to me when the touring pack was fitted was the actual bolts that secure the LED light assemblies in place. They've now ordered the bolts and top hat washers for me, and they're in stock, and I've asked them to be posted out to me. But I think you'll agree that the stock rear end of the bike is pretty impressive. Anyway, the actual Shad panniers are absolutely huge. Actually, I'm going to go back onto this one with the keys if I can find it, and just open them up. But the mounting system, you've got a rubber mount here, and then you've got two here as well, one either side. And to open these, it's the same key for both. Sorry, I'm not doing very well with the camera today. So you just unlock them here like that, if you want to remove them, you just pull this up like that, and then you can pull them off. I'm not going to do it because it really needs two hands. They're quite a tight fit, obviously they don't want to be moving around. And then to fit them, you would just push them on, shut that. If you want to open the panniers, then you just lift this handle and lift this one, and then again, can't really do it with one hand. There we go. And you can see, absolutely massive. They come with a bag, which is over there, 2 bags to go inside, keep everything waterproof. Retention system here, 120 kilometers an hour maximum speed, but I doubt that's really the case. They're just covering their asses just to be sure. There is a weight limit, which I can't read from here. Where are we? Just spin around and have a look at that. Doesn't actually say. I guess that's in the instructions. Let me see if I can read it there. No. Yeah, anyway, so definitely no issues fitting a helmet in here. They are supplied with a white reflector. It's a sort of clear reflector, and you can get these red ones as an option. They are a bit of a bugger to change. There's various screws and things. Let me see if I can open these up again. Yeah, so there's a screw here, and there's some other screws around the casing, and you can prise some of it off a little bit, and then this bit is sort of clipped in place, so you kind of need to prise it out. The instructions didn't tell you how to replace those. It was a bit fiddly, but got there in the end. So yeah, pretty pleased with those. I think they look pretty good. Just got the garage door shut, so I can't get a good position for filming really. But they feel like pretty good quality. They came with 2 keys and actually a spare barrel, just in case one of the barrels should ever fail. So yeah, pretty pleased with those. There's the other one. That's the retention system. You'll see here, this is rubber mounted here, rubber mount there, and in the centre. When you lift this handle up here, you can see that moving away. And that's why you need to push it and click it in place. Probably a little bit of silicone grease or some sort of silicone lubricant on here, or at least on the frame, will help these go back in place. They are quite stiff to put in place, and you basically just line up that bottom bit, lift them up over the frame, which I'm struggling to do with one hand. And then push in. I don't think that's down properly, but you can see there how it goes, and then you would just push that in and that will lock it in place, and then you can use the key just to secure that. So yeah, very pleased with those. I'm going to put the details of the company I bought them from in the UK in the description. Strangely, if you go to the Shad website, they list another company as the UK distributor, and when you ring that company up, they say, no, we haven't got any for the Ducati Diavel, and we don't know when we're going to get any. But actually it seems to be that although they're listed as the UK distributor, they are in fact no longer the UK distributor, and rather than just point me in the right direction, they just decided to tell me a pack of lies. It looks like I need to move that back, because that's just catching there. Yeah, I should have followed my own advice there and kicked that, loosened that off and moved it back a fraction more. something I'll have to do at some point, but the other one's perfectly clear. There's no issues with doing that. I obviously didn't double check, just touching it, but not an issue. You can move that, so that's really not a problem, and it's good on Shad that they actually thought about that along with the seat mounting. I do prefer this with the pillion seat cover on. I think it just looks much nicer. So yeah, so it's just a quick review of the Shad Panniers. Gone for the carbon look finish on them. There are other finishes, and again the sun screws and can pop out and be changed, but I thought that was more in keeping with the rest of the bike. So yeah, pretty pleased with those. £390 is what I paid for them. Managed to get a good deal on those, and that included the red reflectors. I suppose the only thing I would say I'm not happy with, these are not true reflectors. They are just a red plastic. That obviously is a true reflector, and these are not going to reflect anything, I don't think. So yes, that's the only thing I could moan about really. If they were proper reflectors, that would be so much better and safer. But as you know, I like covering the bike with the the reflective tape. I don't think there's any way you can miss that from the back end or the front. I've also found some nice blue reflectors which I might be fitting here and there just to make things show up even more. So yeah, there we go. That's the Shad Panniers and mounting kits.